And we've done this a lot through really the encouragement of women, people of color, other perhaps underrepresented groups, perhaps people with different physical abilities. We very consciously tried to bring those participants into the legal industry. But up until just last summer at the Harvard Negotiation Insight Initiative, I myself hadn't been in a room full of lawyers where we talked about what it is to have balanced masculine and feminine within the legal industry. As is the case with most gravitational forces, for example, if I were to take a super ball and drop it on the concrete, or if I were to push the pendulum on the grandfather clock that we keep at my church, we notice that things tend to move too far to one end and then back to the other, and then gently find their middle and their balance point. Mr. Wilbur has talked about really the eclipsing of Western civilization by these masculine forces, or the masculine archetype. So if we take the premise that in fact we've been imbalanced heavy on the masculine side, and now myself and many, many others are working to bring that back into balance, we could see that we might have a bit of a pink collar issue as those feminine values or archetypal forces get weighted a little bit more heavily as we gradually find our place of balance. And so it is really accurate to note that many of the professors who are really at the vanguard of reforming legal education are women. But we do see that as one of the many gifts and benefits of the civil rights movement, not only have people of color, but women been empowered to speak their truth. So there really are a lot of pink voices, if you will, out there speaking for these principles of connection, of service to others, of growing the pie by helping each other rather than trying to get a bigger slice of the pie for ourselves. The approaches that I am seeing these days are what I would call multi-pronged. And I'll talk about the work that I do in collaborative divorce cases, for example. This is a great, really a great archetype in its own right of how we can help people handle legal disputes. We have the mental health professionals who come in and help people with emotions, with anger, with history, with stories, with perhaps their own view of themselves, their children, and their world. And we have certified professional accountants, or sometimes financial planners, who are looking at the nickels and dimes and nuts and bolts of what this family's estate is. So how I see that we're bringing this pendulum into center is that we offer services on the feminine side, we offer services on the masculine side, and we charge ourselves with the responsibility to use both and bring both into balance. So I would never in a million years imagine trying to help somebody with their divorce simply through legal assistance and mental health coaching. The financial piece is essential. And so it is up to each of us to, as we continue to move forward in this, to really anchor ourselves with those services from all areas that we need and use them wisely together. I'd also like to really make a plea for how the legal industry, particularly the legal industry with a more integrated or integral consciousness, can be of huge service to our country and really the entire world right now. And that is that we have been hearing so much about when do we regulate, what is deregulation, what is better for our culture, what is better for people's pocketbooks. And I think that a wise and mature perspective on this issue, particularly for the financial markets, can flow from this inclusive, connected, unified lens of consciousness. So, for example, if attorneys are working in the financial industry, and I'm sure there are tens, if not hundreds of thousands of attorneys employed directly by financial services companies, these lawyers are in the perfect position to perceive where market forces will work together to meet people's needs, and then those areas where market forces are not able to do that. And this is why I am arguing for the transcendence into the balanced masculine and feminine. Because in older times, it would be perceived as a failure for an attorney to come forward and say, here is someone who is not my client, whose needs are not being met. In fact, 20 years ago, when I was in law school, it's possible that I would have been told that that was bad lawyering. But once we accept that this is interconnected, and just as we've seen in the financial markets, it actually then will serve these lawyers' clients for the lawyers to point out where there are failures in the free market system and where regulation is needed. And what else can support that is as more and more of feminine attributes are welcomed and recognized in this industry, this notion of caring for the whole planet, not just caring for one's client, will be something that I think lawyers everywhere can be proud of. And so as we move forward to, I guess in many ways I'd call it the post-financial bailout world, it is going to be essential that we identify places where we need regulation, because I'm not sure that there's too many people that are really that happy to have government ownership of financial institutions. So in order to avoid that, we're going to need proper regulation. And it shouldn't be about dollars driving lobbyists. It should be about the wise and mature analysis and understanding of just how interconnected we are.